China has invested roughly $100 billion into Venezuela. Now that Trump has removed Nicolas Maduro, Venezuela's China-friendly leader, what will happen to these investments? The short answer is that China's investments in Venezuela are basically unrecoverable. Even if some of the money can be recovered, it would only be a very small portion, and the process would take a very long time under extremely unfavorable conditions. A new government established with U.S. backing or leadership is highly likely to determine that contracts signed during the Maduro era were made by a corrupt regime or a non-democratic government, and therefore require re-examination or outright cancellation. This has happened before in Iraq, Libya, and Afghanistan. The United States will not allow China to control core energy assets in the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela has one of the largest oil reserves in the world, and the U.S. would never allow Chinese companies to dominate development, settle transactions in Chinese yuan, or prioritize oil for repaying Chinese loans. Broadly speaking, China's investments in Venezuela fall into three categories. The first category is jointly developed oil fields. These contracts may end up suspended, frozen, or renegotiated. Even if nominal equity stakes are retained without operational control, export rights, or cash flow, this is effectively a technical expropriation. The second category is sovereign loans. These are less likely to be wiped out immediately, as many Chinese loans to Venezuela are structured as oil-for-loan arrangements or state-to-state financing. New governments typically handle such debts in three ways: refusing to recognize them, freezing them indefinitely, or symbolically acknowledging them while renegotiating the terms. The problem is that if oil production is controlled by U.S. companies, the oil-for-loan mechanism breaks down, meaning the debt may exist on paper but generate no cash repayment. The third category is infrastructure, equipment, and engineering projects. Completed projects will not be dismantled, but maintenance, follow-up payments, and technical services may be localized or taken over by U.S. firms. Chinese companies may have done the work, but will not earn the downstream profits. China's investments in Venezuela were never based purely on commercial logic, but rather on the assumption of long-term regime stability and the continued existence of an anti-U.S. political bloc. Now that this assumption has been completely shattered, there are virtually no historical precedents in which such investments have been fully preserved.